a novel of grief and redemption based on the sudden death of his partner. Dr. Klym is a former professional ballet dancer and newspaper journalist. He incorporates elements of dance and journalism in his writing. He holds a PhD in English with a concentration in fiction writing from the University of Wales, Aberystwyth, and taught creative writing, composition, and literature full-time at Kennesaw State University from 2011 to 2018. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Kendall Klym.
Thank you very much. Good evening, and thank you for coming out. I'd like to thank Amy Bolton and Jen Matos for helping me launch the National Book Tour of Step Lightly here at the Noah Webster House. It's actually a dream come true for me to read from my collection of dance stories at the former home of the man most responsible for my love of words. In my single digits, I first picked up Webster's dictionary, and I'm still reading it. Not getting bored, especially as I make new discoveries in updated editions. So in addition to loving words and their definitions, and this is a quote, forgotten founding father and I share a few other commonalities. As a man with a former career as a professional ballet dancer, I know what it's like to get belittled for expressing my individuality, creativity, and sensitivity. When Webster included the word belittle in his dictionary, his peers belittled him as he affirmed himself as our nation's lone lexicographer, helping to shape an independent American form of English that reflected and continues to reflect what Webster biographer Joshua Kendall calls, quote, his most illustrious monument to our national identity. So what I'd like to do, and this is the new edition Merriam-Webster dictionary. Let's go ahead and look up the word belittle. Okay, belittle, verb, to make seem little or less, also disparage. So if you can keep that in mind as I read. Okay, so I believe that the arrangement of words on a page, whether in a dictionary, newspaper, novel, or collection of short stories, reflects a form of dance that readers embody. Literally take into their beings and make it a part of themselves. So Pavlova is the short story that I'm going to read to you tonight. It's inspired, what I would say, by the practice of etymology. So you've got the Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova, and when I spoke to Jen earlier, she said that the Webster's dictionary pronunciation was Pavlova? Anyway, okay. Well, that's perhaps the Americanized version of, it's very interesting. And as we know, Webster was, and it's interesting that here we were forming a nation, and he was affirming how, what an American is, independent from the British, yet in the process of doing that, his peers raked him over the coals. I find that extremely interesting. So we've got the Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova, an historic figure who's made her way into my story. So I'm combining history with fiction. There's some historical fiction in there. There's, I would say, I would ask you to open your minds to a story that morphs into a lot of different things. So perhaps redefine what, in your minds, what you think a short story is. So we've also got the Pavlova dessert, lowercase p, which you'll have a chance to enjoy during the Q&A period. So I have that catered from a person who does a lot of great cooking and baking. So I want to sort of talk a little bit about my the book, why I wrote it, and how my links to West Hartford. When I was a child in West Hartford, I was interested in the outdoors, historic houses, dance, writing. And all of these things have sort of found their way into my into my fiction. And I was more interested in words than actually, and then I got interested in sentences, paragraphs, and so on, but we're going down to the single digits. And I think that's why I said, well, if I'm going to start my book tour in my hometown, where do I want to do it? There's no choice on that, only one place, and that's here at the Noah Webster House, and I am so grateful to be able to get to do that. So the book is 15 short stories, and they are all based, dance has some sort of influence, and I want to ask you to look at the concept of dance and broaden that. We dance in different ways. You can dance with words, dance around a subject. When I was also in my single digits and then maybe 10, 11, 12, and I visited a family member who happened to live near a place where you could ride go-karts. I said, can we go and ride on the go-karts? Can we go, can we go, can we go? And the answer was, we'll see. And all of us kids knew that when you get a will see, it really means no, but the person is being really nice and not quite saying no, but we still sort of have hope. That's dancing with words, is what that is. So how do we dance around a subject? What do we not say? And I think that all of that is really important, and it informed my theories of fiction are based upon dancing first. I don't really consider myself as much of a writer as a choreography of writing a fiction. And that may sound like semantics, but I don't think so, in that I will act out scenes. Also, as a journalist, I did everything from news stories to features, and California and Texas, and I think that those elements you'll see. So with Pavlova, I think the most important thing for you to know, and I'm going to sort of show this here, is that I wouldn't have to give you this explanation if you were reading, because it is separated into sort of chunks with headings. So when I read a heading, I'll pause and then give you that section. And what I have with that is multiple points of view. So I'll be speaking in different characters' voices. I will be reading excerpts from a review in a newspaper, all made up. I mean, this is part of the story. I'll be reading a recipe. And let's see, what else do we have in here? And it's sort of an investigative reporter type of thing going on, sort of answers, but you have, as the readers, have to figure out what the questions are, especially when the person answering gets a little bit upset, which you'll notice. I have an interview section, I have notes, and I also have a description of a YouTube video with the little things that you have at the end where people are giving their comments. And I also made up their screen names as well. So when I first wrote this story, this story won runner-up prize for Hunger Mountain in, I think, 2013, magazine based up in Vermont. And instead of being my somewhat negative self at times, when I won the prize, I said, oh no, I have no idea which version of the story they have. I hope they still have it and don't, because usually you send a hard copy or they want something other than what you originally sent them. And it did, because what I was told, and this is another link to Noah Webster, was you can't start a short story with a recipe. And this was someone who had some best-selling fiction, who was approaching 70, and there I was, my age, just kind of getting into it and thinking, oh, okay, so I had the version where I didn't do that. Well, the version with the recipe starting out is the version that won, and that's the version in this book. So I will start. Pavlova. Recipe. 5 jumbo egg whites, room temperature, if the room is cold and dark. 1 1/4 cups castor sugar kept dry despite dampness. Scant 2 teaspoons brown malt vinegar. 1.5 cups cold, fresh whipping cream. 1 tablespoon sifted corn flour. 4 ripe kiwis. 2 ripe passion fruit. 1. Wielding a wire whisk, mix whites with vigor, as if your arm and hand have suddenly become possessed by the desire to dance. Stop when whites begin to take on shapes of things you'd rather forget. 2. 1 tablespoon at a time, add sugar, whisking relentlessly until you can see the shadow of your sweaty face glistening in the meringue. Spoon mixture into metal tray lined with parchment to avoid stickiness. With rubber spatula smoothed into shape of theater in the round. Bake at medium temperature for 90 minutes or until pavlova is hardened and dry like a brand new point shoe, ready to break in. Having switched off oven, open door and leave a jar for dessert to rest briefly. Whisk cream in chilled bowl until peaks resemble scenery from Kingdom of Snow. Peel and slice fruit into coque de ballet of equal portions. Decorate cooled pavlova with cream and fruit. Serve immediately after final standing ovation. Note, dessert is delicate, yet unwieldy. Be careful with assemblage. Notes on recipe. Created and named in honor of Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova after her 1926 tour to New Zealand, the dessert is well known worldwide. This version has no author or date of publication. We don't even know what country it comes from, but the terms corn flour and castor sugar help to exclude the United States, where Pavlova dreaded dancing in 1913. However, a prominent food anthropologist classifies the references to meringue as distinctly American. Handwritten, an elegant script, this recipe appears to exist only on a 3x5 note card, sandwiched in a collection belonging to American ballet mistress Zella Muris of Missouri. The ingredients are basic. No one at Midwest City Ballet, where Muris works, is known to have allergies to any of them. But one thing's for sure, when Alexander Green first ate the pavlova, he morphed into one of the strongest male dancers of all time. Notes on prima ballerina. Pavlova lived to be one of the world's greatest and most celebrated ballerinas. Still worshipped by many a dancer, the Russian icon of grace is known for her elegance, etiquette, and determination. Despite her allegiance to all things feminine, she presided with a heavy hand over her male partners. If they failed to live up to her expectations, she slapped them, often in public. 82 years after her death, Pavlova is still recognized for her ability to intoxicate audiences, particularly through her roles of the dying swan and the butterfly. Corinne's perspective. I don't like to say negative shit, but Alex Green is too short to be in the company. Most of the women are at least 2 inches taller, and at 25, he isn't getting any younger. Why he was hired, I'll never know. Politics. To make things worse, he's oh so holier than thou. Ballet is my lover, my life. Give me a break. Probably a latent homosexual. Worst kind. And Zella, his little advocate, she's too old and dried up for anything. Couple of bitches, both of them. Well, at least one's gone. You know, before he left, that excuse of a man got away with violating a company contract. Nobody can get that big and buff in such a short time. Must have taken something. Or Zella slipped it to him. Probably a witch. That's what you should be investigating, the 2 of them, not me. Dancer's Contract, Midwest City Ballet, Section 7B. Despite requests for dancers to lose or gain weight, which may be issued at any time, see Section 35C, the company officially condemns any self-destructive behavior, including but not limited to actions that resemble or lead to the development of eating disorders, to the consumption of illegal substances, and to unwarranted surgical and other medical procedures. Dancers who fail to comply with this edict will be dismissed and replaced immediately. Excerpt from a review of Midwest City Ballet's winter performance. Grafton's lightness of foot pays tribute to the devil-may-care playfulness of Gugnoni's score. A series of vignettes that fluctuate between petit allegro and adagio movements combine classical vocabulary with contemporary gestures, making the choreography as light and up-to-date as the dancing. However, an unwelcome serving of irony was offered up in the section titled Whipped Topping, when one of the dancers landed heavily from a series of jumps. Tony's take. Corinne is the one who landed like a lead weight in that performance. Of course, nobody will admit it, including Grafton, and he's the artistic director. Corinne didn't just come down heavy. She would have fallen if it hadn't been for Alex when he saw what was happening. He placed his hands on the small of her back to keep her upright. Instead of thanking her savior, the bitch issued a complaint, said Alex caused her to land funny because he was standing too close. Alex denied it. There was a company hearing, and nothing happened. Grafton stood up for Corinne, and Zella for Alex. Us dancers thought it was all over, but Corinne refused to give up. Had to find something to cause more grief. So she got out the contract, convinced Grafton that Alex was underweight. Notes on Zella. If you saw her walking down the street, you'd know, despite the cropped white hair and slight limp on the left, that Zella Muris was and is a ballerina. Not a modern one, but the kind you read about in books. A woman organized equidistantly between vertebrae, so elegant that even the most inept and poorly mannered step aside to let her pass. Her figure is trim, her expression amenable. Once she was great. Zella's voice feels like maple syrup filling the squares of a waffle. When she speaks, dancers listen. You are one of the few. You have been chosen for a life unlike any other. Sex, family, computers, they come later. You won't relate no matter how hard you try. Going to the bathroom, even that is different. Doctors will see the x-rays and say something is wrong with your spine. It is straight because you know how to stand straight. You are a dancer, like the members of the Imperial Ballet, the first along with political officials to be escorted to safety when invasion was imminent. You are commissioned to preserve order in a world of chaos. Excerpt 1 from Alex's diary left in a storage unit on the outskirts of town. Zella wants to talk. I know what she's going to say. Gain weight or my contract is up, except that's not how she'll say it. She'll speak in a way that makes me feel both special and unworthy. Must have been a nun in another life. Huge surprise! Zella's invited me to dinner. Tells me not to worry. Dessert's fantastic. Meringue cream thing with kiwi and passion fruit, named after Pavlova. Don't know why, but feeling lightheaded, kind of giddy. Zella loves the way I jumped. Must have forgotten about the contract. Feeling too good to worry. Interview with Tony. Yes, it's true. Alex gained 10 pounds and not a bit of body fat. The whole thing happened in a week. When Zella fed him the pavlova, he said he loved it. It gave him confidence. You have to understand, Alex is straight-laced. That means no drugs, no alcohol, no smokes, nothing. Not even caffeine, and that includes chocolate. No, he's not religious. Married and monogamous to his art. Probably straight. Just my luck. Alex started acting strange after he ate the dessert. Started going out late at night. Said he wanted to get in touch with nature. What that has to do with getting buff, I'll never know. With his extra activity, he'd be losing weight, not gaining it. But as you can see in the picture, the man looks like a god. One of those Greek statues you see at museums. Notes on Alex's picture. No one knows who took it or where it came from, but the pic is running around the internet. Alex's expression is confident yet distant. The open-lipped smile, a sign of ease. The far-off gaze, an indication that part of him is somewhere else. His outfit is contemporary. Light blue, form-fitting sleeveless shirt and red skinny jeans, which outline his forceful chest and powerful quads and calves. Yet somehow he appears anachronistic, as if he came from another time and someone photoshopped the clothes onto his body. His curly hair appears almost as a halo. Around the lower right corner of Alex's lip is a tiny speck of white. Not milk, for the consistency appears thick, like whipped cream or meringue before it is baked. Interview with Zella. The recipe is basically sugar, egg whites, cream, and some fruit. Ask anyone with the least bit of knowledge of nutrition, not to mention anatomy and physiology, and you will see that what you propose is preposterous. Of course, I am no expert, but these are hardly the substances that build muscle. I made the pavlova to cheer up a downtrodden dancer. That's all. Alexander worked very hard to perfect his art. Why not give him the credit? Yes, it may appear to some that he developed quickly, but I'm sure you are familiar with the concept of hyperbole. Dancers are notorious for it. Life is either perfect or doomed, performance is great or worthless. I'm not sure where the recipe originated. It's been in my family for generations. Of course I miss Alexander. He was one of our finest. Interview with Grafton. I have no idea where Alex went after he left the company. We don't keep tabs on our former dancers. Have you checked the internet? How about the IRS? Now I really must be going. I have a meeting with the Midwest Prairie Alliance. Our company is collaborating with conservationists to preserve classical ballet, the nation's most unappreciated and endangered art form, alongside the prairie, the nation's most unappreciated and endangered ecosystem. If you want to do a story on this exciting development, I'd be happy to meet with you next week. Alex's diary, entry 2. She makes me call her mademoiselle, and I must bow when she enters the room. At first I thought it was a dream, but once she slapped me, I knew Anna Pavlova was real. It's true. She's as light as the dessert created in her name. Pavlova is teaching me all kinds of things I never really knew. When a man dances with a woman, he must worship her. He must make it look as though he's in charge, but underneath it all, she is. That's how it works. She wakes me up at 3 in the morning. I bow and kneel before her, and then we head out to the Prairie Preserve. When I'm with Anna, I never feel cold. The stage is filled with leftover snow and dirt, but somehow we manage. We rehearse until 6, and then I take her back to the apartment. We share a slice of pavlova, and then she disappears until the next night. Despite all the extra activity, I feel rested, ready to dance. My body is changing, fast. Tony's final statement. There's something I forgot to say. Before tech rehearsal for the spring performances, I went to wish Alex married. That's what dancers say instead of good luck, or God forbid, break a you-know-what. Well, I got to his dressing room door and stopped short. I distinctly heard a woman with a Russian accent screaming at me. Then what sounded like a slap. When I knocked at the door, I heard furniture crashing to the floor. When Alex opened the door, the left side of his face was all red, a chair was overturned, and the room was empty, except for the two of us. Yes, I'm sure. I know what I heard and saw. Excerpt from a review of Midwest City Ballet's spring performance. Rarely do soloists outshine the principals, but such was the case in Grafton's Prairie Progression when Alexander Green and Tony Perugina took flight in a feverish series of man-to-man suspensions. supported jumps. Reminiscent of lightning spawning a wildfire, the two men epitomized not only the strength and beauty of the male form, but also the stoicism of our ancestors arriving in covered wagons. Kudos to Grafton and his collaboration with the Midwest Prairie Alliance. Good luck to MCB. With dancing and choreography like this, companies on the coasts can't compare. Alex's diary, last entry. Last night was strange. We talked more than we danced. Both captivated by nature, open landscapes, beetles crawling in grass. I think I'm falling in love. Anna says she could easily replace Corrine. Finally, together in front of an audience. I asked how she planned to do it. She made a joke, called herself the Phantom of the Ballet. I laughed. Asked why she'd go to New York. Because you are here, she said. I'll never forget those words. My wrists slipped during a press lift. And she punched me. The frozen grass clinked in the wind. The prairie was laughing. Notes on YouTube video. Extensive investigation, but no one knows who posted the video or where it came from. It's called BOA. The picture is clear. Alexander Green partnering none other than Anna Pavlova. Alex looks like a Greek myth come to life. Beige dance belt and nothing else but his sparkling brown ringlets dripping with sweat as he lifts his partner high into the air. Pavlova, skin tanned and expression distant, sports a black bikini. Her hair is buzzed to a bristle. The choreography is 21st century, unabashedly sexual, moments of sustained extension, followed by repetitive, spastic moves. Peace, and then storm. Pavlova constricts her partner to death. The final scene focuses on Alex. Eyes rolled back, face blue, expression slack. 3 comments posted on the accompanying YouTube page. About time, from Sexy Lady Cub. Great hairdo, Pavy, from Pickle Lover Spoon. What happened to human tenderness, violence, gratuitous, from Midwest Spirit Weaver? Excerpt from Arts section of Midwest Tribune. Despite local, state, and national funding, Midwest City Ballet and the Midwest Prairie Alliance received a heavy blow today. Late Summer Dance on the Prairie, held at and supported by the privately owned Midwest Prairie Preserve for the last 40 years, will be discontinued. The land has been sold to the Mall Mart Corporation, and construction for a new Mall Mart mega complex will begin within a month. The site will include multiple stores, a ballpark, 2 daycare centers, a 1-acre prairie preserve, and a new 4-year college featuring a highly popular corporate studies major. Once the construction is done, the ballet can perform at the ballpark, said Hugo Spitz, spokesman for the multi-million-dollar project. Midwest City Ballet Artistic Director Frederick Grafton, who received the International Green Space Choreographic Award earlier this year, was unavailable for comment. Front page story in Midwest Tribune. Mall Mart project swallowed up. After a month of rumors and jokes claiming the Mall Mart mega complex was jinxed, haunted, and doomed, the project caved in on itself. Literally. Only 2 days after the completion of 9 buildings in a ballpark, a giant sinkhole swallowed up everything except 1 acre of prairie, leaving no trace of the $80 million complex. No one was injured since the cave-in happened sometime between 3 and 6 a.m., according to police. A worker who wishes to remain anonymous said he found piles of kiwi peel at the construction site during the last month. The cause of the sinkhole is under investigation. Statement of a baker in rural North Dakota. That little dude called himself Al Green. Hired him because of the look on his face. Real depressed. Getting out of a bad relationship, he said. Only worked here a short time. Crazy about the prairie he was. Talented baker. Never tasted a pavlova like the ones he made. so light, gave you energy, made you want to dance. Thank you. We've got two that are catered, and there is water to drink. And let's have any questions about the story, about the collection, about me.
So will we be dancing after we eat this? What will happen? You'll be the dance floor, right?
I'm not going to answer that question. You'll have to find out.
Like the options.
All right, great. So this pavlova does not have passion fruit. It does have West Hartford strawberries and kiwi and fresh raspberries and cream and meringue. So, any other questions? Yes.
How did you decide on the different perspectives that you wanted to give?
That came from teaching at a university, being a scholar, having to really sort of going through being belittled by theorists, literature experts, those who say, oh, the creative writers, they don't even belong in the department. So I did a great deal of research. I read books. I sent away for a book that just dealt with the history of the pavlova dessert. I read a book on Anna Pavlova. I watched YouTube videos, and I also remembered the various people in the past when I was dancing for a company in Kansas City, Missouri. So there you've got your Midwest, and I do enjoy a variety of ecosystems, including the prairie.
Is there any, after writing probably several versions of the story and everything like that, now when you read it, are there any other voices that you would like to put in?
I don't think so. I think that I'm pretty happy with it, and I tend to be a massive perfectionist who wants to change everything a million times. So no, I think for a short story, if I turned it into something longer, yes. But, yes.
I want to know, how long did you dance and where? And how long have you taught and where?
Okay, this is a long answer. I danced from the age of 5. I started at the Hartford Ballet, but even before that, here in West Hartford, at the base of Avon Mountain, I jumped out of trees. I jumped off a wall. I jumped off my bed and blackened a front tooth. And my parents said, "You want to learn how to jump? With people who can teach you so you don't hurt yourself." I said, "Yeah, okay." And so I danced. Then I moved. I went to Norfolk School, Renbrook School, and then Watkinson for 2 years before I moved to New York City to train. And then from the age of 20 to 27, I danced in companies in Kansas City, Chicago, Dallas, Copenhagen, Denmark, and Boston. And so I pursued a journalism degree after that, and then and that was at Baylor University, and then I went to, I got burnt out on journalism, was working for papers in California, came back to Texas and got an MFA in fiction writing, and started teaching in Kansas City, Missouri, and then I got into the University of Wales with an international scholarship, moved to Wales, and then I started teaching, with my PhD in 2010, got the job at Kennesaw State outside of Atlanta, 2011 to 18, and I'm taking this time off to promote this book, do the National Book Tour, and complete final edits of a novel. So, yes.
I'm curious approximately how many edits you had to go through for the whole script. An approximation. I'm working on a book myself, and I'm finding that editing is quite challenging as a new writer.
I'd say into the triple digits. Yeah, for this story, which means, I will say when I was 16, and I need to do this again, I sent away for 100 white pine trees from the Patchogue State Forest in Voluntown and now I think back, and some of those have grown up and are gigantic, but how much paper I have used. Yeah. Yeah. So I do believe in planting trees and such because yes, I work on the screen, but I have to, when I edit, I've got a pen and paper in front of me, and then I only do one side of printing because I write notes on the back. So yeah, it's not, as much as I recycle and it's not an environmentally friendly process in my opinion. We need something other than paper. So, yeah. Yes?
What I did get was, when did you stop dancing?
At the age of 27, when I was doing a role in which I played a jealous boyfriend, and I had to throw my partner to the floor and have her head this close. And so I kept putting a lot of pressure onto this foot because her head never hit the floor. Yet the bone split more and more and more. But yeah. And so the stories in the collection are ballet heavy, but I've got the hula. I've got belly dancing for pregnant women, because, and the background on that, as well as, let's see, I've got hula, belly dancing, modern dance, contact improvisation, lots of other forms of dance, international dancing, folk dancing, Balkan dancing. It's not just a book about ballet. And also, if you're not interested in dance, I think that it would change your mind about what dance is, and you might just find yourself interested in what you didn't think was dance, that you knew you were interested in always, but turned out to be dance, at least in my perspective and perhaps yours.
I have another question.
Yes.
I don't know one of my non-classics, but you mentioned Searching in Post was one that, how many magazines published your story?
Oh, I should know that, and I don't. I lost count.
I mean, tell me some others other than this.
Which other ones? Let's see, Puerto del Sol, and that's based in New Mexico. Hunger Mountain for Pavlova. Sunday Evening Post. There is Cottonwood magazine, and I can't think of any others. I'll probably think of them when I go to bed tonight. But, yes?
Do you have a favorite word?
My favorite words, I do, and I say that they change. It's obfuscate, because I tried to use that word as a journalist, and I used it as a journalism student, and my journalism professor said, okay, who knows what this means? Nobody did. He said it's out. Then when I went to work for a newspaper in Fresno, California, I had to say basically the same thing happen. And then when I was working for a magazine, doing some freelancing, it got taken out. And so I thought, I'm going to write something with obfuscate in it. And I'm going to, yeah. What does it mean? Shall we? Okay. I'm going to use it in the okay. O-B-F-U-S-C-H. Let's see what Noah says.
Why is this not called the Noah Webster Dictionary?
That is a whole story that Jen can answer. There's a plaque on the wall in the room behind us, which actually explains why it's Merriam and not Noah Webster.
Right, and Noah Webster died in 1843. He called it an American Dictionary of the English Language, and then a publishing company, the Merriam Brothers, out of Springfield, Massachusetts, bought the rights to his dictionary, and they recognized that Webster was already synonymous with dictionary, so they kept his name in the work, and actually eventually updated it and edited it, and it's still published today.
Okay, obfuscate.
To make dark or obscure. To
to make dark and obscure or confuse, I think that's kind of appropriate to put in the newspaper, but I got censored as a journalist. And yeah, I haven't looked back, and I would not prefer to be a journalist at this time.
Yeah.
So I do want to, if there aren't any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and sit there, and if anyone wants to purchase a book, and I will sign.
My phone died. I didn't have enough memory.
Mine cut off after about 15 minutes or so.
That was good.
But his is still going at 41 minutes.
It might be a very large file, though. You
Yeah.
might want to stop it.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Challenging.
Yeah.
The memory.